I saw you last, a lot has happened. The trees have come down, and I made a lovely video about those coming down. And then later that week, our wonderful fencing went up at the end of the garden. The two guys who came to do it were absolutely superb, very professional, arrived nice and early, not too early though, and they got it up within 3/4 of a day. I think they were finished by about 3 o'clock. But they worked incredibly hard, and it is absolutely superb. It's very, very sturdy, and we've actually, since it's been up, a couple of nights ago, we had some very, very strong wind, and we looked out of the window in the morning and I was like, please let it still be there, please let it still be there. And it is, it's beautiful. It's as solid as a rock, which is fantastic. So we now have a little bit of privacy back again, because we had the big open area which was a bit sort of daunting, you know, when you're coming out in your pajamas, feeding the chickens in the morning, everybody can see you. But we have that there now. And now I'm at the stage where I can start laying out where I want the beds to go. Now, I'm hoping that you can see, I've actually marked them out with string. So don't come out here in the dark, because it's a little bit like an obstacle course. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've laid out 6 beds. They're all the same size. I think they're about 21 foot long, and they're about 4 foot wide, give or take a few inches here and there. And in between each bed, I've left 2 feet. Now, the reason I've left 2 feet is because it's actually the right size, but also it's wide enough to get the lawnmower down. Because in between the beds, I want to grow grass, because I want it to sort of soften the look of the beds. So the one on the end here, I've put some pots. That will be the fruit patch, the fruit bed. So I've put the fruit bushes that I have taken from the allotment and from where we used to live, and I've just put them there so I know where they're going to go. So let me show you those in a little bit more detail. So yes, it looks a bit of a mess here. The weeds that I took out have started to grow back again. But I've marked out the bed. I haven't done it right up against the fence. I've left a couple of inches, and what I'll do with those couple of inches is I'll put a load of wood chips down there, so it will suppress any weeds from coming up. I didn't want to put it too close to the fence, just in case that fence needs to be replaced, and then we've got a little bit of space to play with. So in these pots, I've got raspberries, I've got a red currant, a black currant, a white currant. I've got some gooseberries, I've got a tayberry, I've got a grape. Gosh, I've got all sorts in here. Yeah, I've got quite a few gooseberries, which I dug up from the allotment and bought with me. So when this will be the first bed that goes in, because these need to go in, I want to get them in as soon as I can. Also in the greenhouse, I have they're all in like 3-inch pots. I've got lots of strawberries, so I will be putting those in as well. So hopefully very soon these will be in, and they will get settled over the winter, and then they'll start to grow in the summer or in the spring, and then hopefully I'll have some fruit in the summer, but I will keep you updated on their progress. Now at the back here in this corner, now the trees have gone, I can put the greenhouses in their place. I've marked out round them also, because I want to put a concrete base underneath them, and then attach the frames to the concrete base. That's what I did in our old house in Surrey, and I never lost any panes of glass, and the frame never moved in all those years. Even when we had some really, really strong winds, and we did have some very, very strong winds down there. And obviously because we're a little bit more exposed down here, I need to make sure that both the greenhouses are secure on the concrete bases. Now, my dad is coming over. I'm not going to ask him to do it, obviously, because, you know, he's 71, but I want to ask his opinion as to what sort of sub base I need. Do I just need to put down some ballast, or do I need to put down some hardcore? He said it depends what the base is like underneath the soil, how solid that is. So he'll come here in about a week. They're staying with my sister first, and then they're coming over to us for a few days. So he'll then give me an idea of what I need to do, and then I'll get to do that. So hopefully by Christmas, gosh, it's not long, it's only 4 weeks away. Hopefully by Christmas, then I will have at least the sub bases down, the concrete bases down, and maybe have the greenhouses attached. I can then, once they're attached, I can then put the glass in, you know, after Christmas and after the New Year and before I start to sow. But everything is in its place so that I know what it will look like. Between the two greenhouses, I've put a little path so I can go in. See, this is all very well planned out. I can go in, oh, spider's web, and in one greenhouse, out and in the other. Okay, so I've got the 6x8 here and the 6x6 here. This is the window, so it'll open outwards. And as you can see, even at this time of the morning, it gets quite a lot of sun, and the sun actually stays in this area for quite a long time, which is really good. Things can only get better when the sun comes during the summer. So this is a good place for me to have my my greenhouses. Now over in this other corner, remember the trees were here and I could just about squeeze in between the tropical bed and the trees. In this corner here, this is where the new chicken shed is going to go. I know you're so excited, aren't you? You just can't control your excitement. As you can see, there is their shed here. It's still, obviously, I haven't put it together because, again, I want to put that on a concrete base. But I'm just going to check what the soil is like with the help of my wonderful dad. And we will decide what is the best base to do for that, because I want to attach the shed to the concrete base so that the chickens are all lovely and secure. So I've marked out where their shed will go. They will then have some extra space here, which I will then have, they'll have an outside run. But the run itself I've marked out as not particularly large, but then their shed is a 6 foot by 4 foot. So they actually have more room in their house than they have at the moment. So therefore their run doesn't need to be quite so big. But I think I may well extend their run at just a little bit longer. But I've marked that out. Now they are temporarily here so that I can get their shed up and without having to move them again. So hopefully I will be able to get this done before Christmas. That's more of a priority than getting the bases done for the greenhouses. Now I've also moved over the compost heaps. I did have them over in there and they're just a little bit too close to the house. That wasn't like a place that I wanted to really leave them. So I wasn't sure how much space I'd have, but I've moved them up here so they're sort of hidden. Once the tropical bed starts to grow a little bit more, then they will be sort of hidden from view, so they won't be, you know, stop it. So you won't see them, you know, when you come out into the garden. And finally, the space in between the greenhouses and the chicken run is for the shed, which has a load of gardening equipment in it, and I will have here my little seaty area, okay, where I've put a couple of white chairs there, so it just reminds me I'm not going to sit on them now because it rained last night and there's a wet patch and I don't want to get a wet bottom. So that's what I will have here, but it's to show me and to remind me and anybody else who comes out to see the garden, they'll go, oh, okay, this is where you'll be sitting with your glass of wine and your little sneaky treat that you want, but more of the glass of wine or the beer. So that will be there. What I would like is to have to sort of give this area just a little bit of shade. So what I want to do is like have something over the top, and I'll have some plants growing over the top there, and it'll just soften the edges of the fencing, and it'll just make it look more homely. So yes, it does look, all the edges look a little bit harsh at the moment, but then you would expect that because, you know, it's just been put up, but it's beautiful, it's lovely, very sturdy, very solid. But there is one more bed I need to show you, and that is where my herb bed is going to go. And so here underneath the office window, because it's right next to the back door and then the kitchen is through there, this is where I'm going to have my herb bed. This is, to me, the perfect place to have it because I can come out, walk across the little path, and then come and get the herbs that I want for dinner. I mean, it's so exciting. So I'm going to have rosemary, sage, all sorts in here. I will not put in here any variety of mint because they will take over. I've got some old chimney pots that I had in the front garden where we lived in Surrey, and I've put those up there, and I will put a variety of mint in each one, therefore they will be contained, because you'll put one plant down here and then it will just get taken over. The area here, any area that is left, this is going to be my little bit of grass, because we always need a nice little bit of grass underneath the willow tree. I'll have my washing line here. I took the old one out because it was wonky and falling apart. We've got a new one. I just need to make a concrete base for it, little square, but that's not a major thing, because I'm not drying washing outside at the moment because the days are too short and they're a bit too cold. But this is going to be my little sort of sit and, you know, soak up the sun, and family can sit here and stuff. And we've got the patio where we can have barbecues and things like that. So that's the garden as it is now. Well, that's just a quick update on how the garden is getting on. Slowly but surely it is getting there. But it looks a bit bare and a bit naked at the moment, but hopefully very, very soon it will start to take shape. This is a very long project to do, and it's something that will last for years and years and years, and I will be pottering out here until I'm old and grey, and a little bit doddery. This is a massive investment, and a huge project, and it's not like it's something that will change year on year. Once these beds are in, they will be here and they will stay. Okay, the plants that I plant in the beds will change, most of them year on year, but the beds themselves, they are here to stay, and I'm so looking forward to seeing how this turns out, because I'm really, really excited. So I'm going to stay in the greenhouse just for a little bit longer and pretend I'm pottering around. Hopefully by next spring I will be pottering around, The beds will be up and everything will be sorted, but only time will tell with that. There's a lot to do, but I am perfectly capable of doing it on my own, and I hope you join me in my new adventure. Well, I hope you found it interesting what I've shown you today, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye-bye.